All right, so yeah, as Keith mentioned, we had a ECHAL certification class a couple weeks ago at our office in Raleigh, and we were talking about building a lab at his new house, and I sent him a couple pictures. This was taken, the initial design was taken from Blake's T-bar mounting system. So I took that when I was building a lab at a new house. The house that I bought just happened to have a little 9x8 room in the basement with a window. So what I did was I took the idea that, obviously being a vendor, right, I have a ton of our APs, but being a geek, I have almost everybody else's APs as well, right? So what I did a little bit different, this might be a little hard to see, instead of mounting the T-bar, which is here, I took a 1x2 piece of wood and routed the back edge across so you could lay the T-bar horizontally on that 1x2 and then mount it on the wall, and then what you get from that is this. So I would not recommend trying to light all these up at once, obviously. On the day-to-day, just my internal one is always on. Basically what this then connects to, and we've got, like I said, a T-bar across the top 2 rows, and then 1x8s on the bottom 2 for the access points that are either too heavy or don't have T-bar mounting on the back of them. So that stuff then patches into a 48-port patch panel. So there's no more dragging cables across the floor. Your toddler runs through the room and then all the APs go flying across the room, or the dog, or whatever it is. So now everything is patched all the time to the patch panel, and then you just patch down from the patch panel to some type of switching environment. This is another point that we had a discussion about. Don't forget the wired side, right? Like was mentioned in the panel. Make sure that you've got a couple different examples of the switching side so that you can account for different testing that you're doing, especially if you're a VAR and installing multiple vendors' equipment. So we just patch that stuff down to whichever, either the controllers or the switch ports that you want to connect to. The other thing I put up is chaos, right? My wife is a little bit OCD and went and bought me about 50 of these totes and told me that anything she found on the floor was going in the trash. So everything had to go onto shelves. I put in just white shelving so it didn't affect airflow, and then just kind of organized everything into totes. And then cables, I got this idea from our engineering lab in Raleigh. These are just little hooks that you can get from the garage section at Lowe's, and I put them on each side of the door, and then the longer cables actually droop up and over onto the other side, so it keeps your cable management stuff a little bit more organized. And then this is the 2 racks. So the way I divided mine up was all test gear is on one side, so this stuff is on only when it's needed, and any stuff that stays on to run the house network is on the left side. And then remote power strips are your friend. Everything's on a remote power strip so that you can turn it on and off, from anywhere. And that's it.